Welcome to the Leadernomics Show. Today we are in Bangalore in India, and we are at Mahindra Electric here with Mahesh Babu, the CEO of Mahindra Electric. Hey, Mahesh, appreciate you being out here and giving us this opportunity to talk to you. Tell us a bit about your background. How did you end up becoming CEO of Mahindra Electric?
See, after my engineering, actually I joined Ashok Leyland.
Yes, and you were an engineer there, right?
Yeah, as usual, very passionate engineer. I started.
Why engineering? I mean, was there a reason? Was there?
See, I was always keen on, let's say, doing something by hand. So my interest was always doing something new. And when I was doing engineering, actually my thermodynamic professor was very, what I would say, passionate, and I got so much influence. So I want to do actually a combustion engineering on engine. That's my passion. So after my engineering, I joined Ashok Leyland. Yep. Then in Ashok Leyland, I got into R&D. So I was very particular that I want to get into engine. So I got into engine, but unfortunately I didn't get combustion. So I went to a test engineer or something like that. So I was very upset. At the time, I think I learned the first lesson because I was very upset as a GET, young, energetic guy. And then I was sitting there, and then one of my mentor at that time, my boss came and asked me, Mahesh, why are you so upset? Then I said, okay, I want to do combustion. That's my passion. I came to engine after so many R&D and all that. But finally, I landed up doing some testing of engine, which is also related to the engine. But I was very upset, you know, young blood, you are so. Then the first lesson on life, what I would say other than engineering, I learned there. He told me, Mahesh, you know what? If you get the best card in, let's say, bridge, then there is no need for Mahesh. The card will win it.
Yep.
You will put a Mahesh-Mark only when you have a bad card and you play well. So that was a very big lesson.
Okay.
So I started reflecting it, and then I realized, okay, I think how can I do the best in testing?
So you really change your framework in terms of looking at the opportunity and saying this situation, you can never look at it as a bad thing, but as an opportunity to instill your legacy in that situation.
You need somebody who will frame it rightly at the young age. Luckily, I had a mentor, and I also had that framework of understanding.
But it's very good to have that lesson early on in life, because then you're able to look at situations and never look at it negatively.
Absolutely. Then I started enjoying my work.
Okay.
Then I realized whatever work you give, you start enjoying, actually you will deliver better than what you normally would deliver.
Right.
So we became the first test agency outside ARI for certification of engines, first time in India. So that word motivated me. Then I later on moved to combustion. Whatever I want to do on engine, I moved in, and then finally I joined in 1998 Mahindra. That was far away. To be frank, I'm a Chennai guy. Worked all along in the south, and then suddenly I met Dr. Pawan Goenka for an interview in Mumbai. What he said actually motivated me to leave the comfort zone and go and join a new place. He said, Mahesh, you know what, I am doing a project called Scorpio, and I am the project leader of the vehicle. And I need somebody who knows turbocharged engine, and it looks to be you. You will be the first person to introduce a turbo engine to Mahindra.
Wow.
Instead of just saying, come and join me, you will be developing some engine, same work. Right. So that wouldn't have motivated me. So luckily I had mentors like this all around my career, and I started picking, and then I realized, okay, where to go. Then he said, you have to work in Nasik. I've never seen Nasik even in an India map. So I actually started searching, where is it? But I took that big leap only by a simple word by Dr. Goenka telling, Mahesh, you will be the first person in the group who would have launched a turbo engine for the group.
But that is interesting, because I mean a lot of leaders have this ability to position
the framework.
Yes, to position something, knowing your heart, knowing where you stand, and knowing that this will enable you to jump in that opportunity. And potentially you've probably used that now many times as you do your own recruitment and as you try to look at people. I mean, that's very interesting insight there.
Absolutely. Then my life became, so we delivered the first turbocharged engine in Scorpio. It became a success. Then we brought in Common Rail, India's first Common Rail out. And then every 8 years, some moment happened in my life. I don't know whether it is right or wrong or good or bad.
So
8 years I was in Ashok Leyland.
Like.
So and then I moved to Nasik. Then it was nearing about 8 years. Then suddenly again Dr. Venka said, Mahesh, we are starting a new project called XUV. Why can't you go and move to vehicle and then lead a vehicle program, because you have shown some technical as well as project management skill in your thing. And then it was, I have to leave the engine area, which is my passion. But the way he said is leading a full vehicle program to develop India's first monocoque SUV, which is completely path-breaking, was again motivating. So then I said, okay, now let's commit, and then we moved in to Chennai. At that time there was no MRV.
Right.
There was,
so you got back to Chennai?
We got back to Chennai.
So at least that was one thing good. We're going to take a quick break right now. We'll be right back here on the Leader Mix Show shortly. Welcome back to the Leader Mix Show. I'm with Mahesh Babu, CEO of Mahindra Electric. Mahesh, you were talking about your career and how you've kind of moved along every couple of 8 years, I think, almost. And you've taken on interesting roles to start up almost business units or businesses or centers from the scratch and build them up. So you had this R&D role in Chennai, and then you transitioned to Mahindra Electric. Talk us through that transition a little bit.
See, it's a very tough call. The decision is typically on your comfort zone versus new area which we have to explore. And for example, I was handling a project of 5,000 plus crore on from three-wheeler till XUV, leaving that comfort zone and coming and saying I want to do something differently on electric. When I took the decision, honestly, in let's say 2015, many of my colleagues have asked me, are you taking a right decision? Honestly. And when I went and asked advice, many of them said, if I were you, I will not take this decision, because you are in a career running multiple platforms, and why are you going and do? Yeah. But somehow something told me, I think it is not just the brain and the heart, I think there is also gut added to it. So if you have some feeling, some inner feeling was telling me that something is just by doing emission improvement in engine, just by lightweighting in vehicle, just by doing something first on the platform, you get some satisfaction. Then I realized the ultimate satisfaction is to do something transformative to automotive industry, and that opportunity lies in electric.
Yes.
The purpose is so huge that even if it is going to put my career under risk,
it's worth taking the risk.
It's worth taking it, because I believe the purpose of moving electric in this country, not just for Mahindra, is very important. But having said that, that is also backed up by the management role. Both our chairman Anand Mahindra and our MD Pawan Goenka is fully committed to electric mobility. Yeah. So with that in background, with a little bit of a push from my internal side, I think it was a right decision sitting today, but that time it is a very painful but tough decision.
So it's a tough decision, but it's also tough, right? I mean, you had to build a team, you had to, I mean, you're essentially building a business. You're almost a startup to some extent.
Right.
Building that, right?
Right.
And so, I mean, what were some of the growing pains that you went through, and some of the challenges and obstacles, and what did you do to remove those obstacles and push forward?
I think everything is linked towards your mind frame, I would say. It is like you have to reinvent yourself when you are in a new role, rather than you coming with a mindset that now you know something and I am going to do based on your old experience something here. I think the curiosity of like a child when you come to a new business, observation, because if you look at a child, he or she will be very curious in observing what's happening before they react. I think when we become adult, we think that we know, and then we start acting before we do it. So my curiosity and observation goes very high when I take a new role, and then you will have to look at a lot of data points. And coming to team, I think it's you will not have a team which is complete talent in startup. But you will have to build a team.
Right.
You will have to kind of learn from each other, and then create amalgamation of learning from a bigger pool to a smaller pool, and a smaller pool value add to the bigger one. And that's how we need to work upon how to leverage a synergy or a multiplying effect between them, rather than who is bigger and who is smaller.
Yeah, but it calls for you to be very humble, right? I mean, curiosity, it's really humility, right? I mean, to some extent, to be able to say, I'm not the smartest person in the room, I can learn from anybody, and I need to be absorbing more than I am giving, right?
I entirely agree with you, but I believe it's not only for startup. Even if I'm in Mahindra, I think humility is the one which is a factor as a person. Wherever you have to be there, because
so it's a value that you personalize.
I personally feel that we need to practice and we need to embrace. It's not easy. When I'm young, probably I would have not have the same humility what I'm having today. But over a period of time, you learn and become more. I would say certain things comes with you going through the toil of learning by yourself rather than just hearing. But if somebody can do that, it's great, I would say.
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of these experiences that you got building this, the last couple of 3-4 years as you built Mahindra Electric, what were some insights, lessons learned that others can learn from you? Many entrepreneurs out there trying to build businesses or trying to scale up their business to some extent, struggling, So what sort of advice would you give or insights that you can share that these entrepreneurs can take home also based on the lessons that you had to go through?
Okay, I think first lesson I can say is, if you are in a startup or if you are in a new business, first you have to believe, and half of the work is done if you make others to believe in what you are doing.
So you believe
for example, first we have to believe. I believe that my electric is the future of mobility. If I believe, then I will keep making believers within the organization outside. I strongly believe, why I am believing electric is, I strongly believe that technology by itself has no value unless it changes the life of the people. If you look at Mahindra philosophy of RISE is very similar to that. So I have a strong connect between technology and RISE. Mahindra Electric will be a pioneer, or it is today the pioneer and continue to be a pioneer in electric mobility, because we strongly believe that the electric mobility solution is going to change the way not only people move, but life of the people, right? So what happens to the country, what happens to the citizens in the city, and that purpose, the purpose of your existence or objective is a bigger motive than small activities. Most of the time we get consumed by activities and without understanding the purpose. So I would say, if you know the purpose and belief, I think it will drive the actions.
And I think that's a very important point, setting clear purpose before you start figuring out the how or the what that you do. Really establishing the purpose of why you do what you do. We're going to take a quick break right now. We'll be right back here on the Lyramix Show, now third and final segment shortly. Welcome back to the Lyramix Show, and we're with Mahesh Babu from Mahindra Electric. Mahesh, every guest in the Lyramix Show is subject to our Thinkonomic Challenge. It's a simple game developed by our employees, and I'm going to randomly pick some questions, and we have a bit of a time limit here. But as fast as you can, answer them. And if you succeed in answering most of them, we'll give you the set as a gift for overcoming the Thinkonomic Challenge.
That's a good motivation for me to try.
Absolutely, there you go. So here we go, and I'm going to start. If you had all the funding in the world, what would you invent?
I would invent something which will change the life of the people.
Electric car? Okay, how should a company really give back to the community?
I think giving back to the community, most of the companies will do. I think what we have to do is we'll have to invest in something which will transform the society and gives back to the society.
Right. And really give, not just throw stuff at them.
Yeah.
Would you accept advice from a younger person, and why?
Of course, all the time, all the
you
while.
Still do.
Because most of the learning of me comes from youngsters, because they will bring a perspective which I don't have.
Absolutely, especially with technology and from children too, right? What would you do if you didn't have to earn money in order to survive?
Whatever is passionate to me, I will do.
And you are still doing what you're passionate about. If you had the opportunity to get a message across to a large group of people, what message would that be? What would your message be?
My message to large group of people, if I have to say, I think it is important that you look at the purpose of your existence, and if you are doing something around that purpose, I think will make everybody happy, and that's the way you will make things happy.
Time's up, but I'm going to squeeze one more thing. I think, what is beautiful to you in life? Where do you find inspiration?
My inspiration comes from everybody, because I suck inspiration from my mentors, what I see, what I learn, and all of them. I think you should not look at only one point. For me, multiple points gives me inspiration.
And you say you suck, but you also seem to give, right?
Yeah.
So I guess, you know, it's important to have that pay it forward of taking inspiration, also inspiring others.
Absolutely.
And I think you're doing a fabulous job in not just in your life, but in, you know, in the humility that you display. And one of the things I think many young people will look at you and say, hey, I want to be like Mahesh. I want to be a successful leader. I want to do things that are groundbreaking. And if there are some kids that are coming out from college or university and they're coming out to the workspace and they're saying, what should I do? What should I be thinking about? And what should I be focusing on? What sort of advice would you give these young people?
If you ask me, I think sometimes goal helps. If you are too much bogged down by the goals, I think you will get distracted. The most important thing what we have to do is, if we are able to have an option on the area which you are going to work, where you are passionate about, then you are lucky. What I learned in life is, if you are not getting something which you are not passionate about, I think the area which you got, you have to make it so passionate that it becomes an attraction to others. That's why I strongly believe that if you have a small belief in what you are doing, make it so passionate that the outcome will be so big that everybody will start believing in it and start embracing it. That's what I would say.
Okay, and currently you're passionate about this whole mobility, electricity, and so on. But is there other passions that you share, or that you have, that you are looking forward in the near future?
See, if you ask me, energy and mobility are a big space today. My passion is one day every energy being developed is sustainable, either through solar or wind, which is of natural resources.
Yes.
And the mobility becomes completely, energy
Seamless,
is taken from sustainable.
Yep.
If that happens, I think we have made something to the humanity.
Right.
And
really
if that happens in my lifetime, I'll be very happy.
Okay, so that's driving you, and or will continue to drive you at some point in time. Now, if you had an opportunity to address a group of CEOs, and you know, you had the opportunity to impart some nuggets of wisdom to them, you know, what would be one or two key nuggets that you would like them to hear from you? You know, advice that you'd like to impart to them?
See, I will not be big enough to advise other CEOs. I'm sure they would have achieved many things.
Sure.
But if I have an opportunity to meet so many CEOs, all that I can tell you is a humble person with not so high flyer and always a backbencher can become a CEO like me. I think all others have an opportunity if they have a passion and wisdom to get into that place. I will not be an advice to them. My wish to them would be that please allow people in your team to fly better than what we are doing and get into the place where we are, so that we have big leadership pool in India and the world to lead the humanity.
Yeah, and speaking of that whole development of people, right? How do you create that pool of talent that enables you to grow and to scale, right? I mean, what are some of your thoughts on this? How should business leaders be thinking about developing the next level of talent and to drive talent development? I mean, in your case, you've got lots of experiences, the accumulation of different experiences in significant roles, you know, where you got to lead in an early age and you got to build things that enabled you to gain that experience. How do we replicate that to the rest of the organization?
See, my suggestion is, if you have something, make your job redundant. I think most of the challenges come when you think you are indispensable. The reality is nobody is indispensable. When a leader is there, if he is there, he has to make a difference. If he is not there, people have to realize he is not there. That's the only difference you have to make. You need not hold data, you need not hold information. I think it should be available to everybody, and leader has to make that his team or his full team has complete visibility. If you look at our business, we have a weekly meeting, we have a quarterly meeting to all employees. Basically, all employees will know exactly what we are doing and what is our thought process. Good, bad or ugly, they may get aligned or they may not like it.
But at least there's
clarity, the reality
though.
Is that we are sharing that this is what we are thinking.
Yeah.
And it also helps us to hear from them. So it is a two-way process. So we should have this opportunity of on a two-way process to learn from each other, and then refine the strategy as well as communicate what you want to.
Interesting. And I like the fact that I mean, I think one of the most important things with employees is clarity. And when there's clarity everywhere, things can move forward. If not, things will move, but not necessarily in the right directions and in the way forward. One last question, as we have very little time left. If you were to give advice, India is a great nation and can be greater, to some extent, with all the talent and the capability and the potential that we have. If you had the opportunity to give advice to Indians out there to fulfill their potential, to be the best that they can be, what sort of advice would you impart to them, and how can they truly step up their game to truly take India to be the country that it should be?
See, I had an opportunity to go across the world. I almost visited all the nations, interacted with many nationals. I find a very unique opportunity in India. In India, people are passionate about work, very dedicated, and they have a human touch to the interaction what we have. I have seen a lot of talent which is integrating all of them in India. So I strongly believe that if Indians believe, Indian engineers or professionals believe that we are at a base which is at an advantageous position, not at a disadvantageous position when compared to the nationals, I think that belief itself will build them up. Second, we have to be open in interacting and learning from other nationals, but at the same time, while we have humility, we should not believe that, don't lose the self-confidence. I think if we have that with humility and self-confidence, an assertive way of approach in what we are doing, I think India has a large pool of talent. I can tell you the amount of personal leadership I have seen in my friends and interaction with Indians. Some of them are amazing. My learning comes amazingly from many of the Indian leaders and my colleagues who have demonstrated and taught me where I am today.
Mahesh, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you. We've been speaking to Mahesh Babu, CEO of Mahindra Electric, here on the Leaderonomics Show. Mahesh, thank you again.
Thank you and welcome.